We had freedom rides, and we had wade-ins, and we had, you name them. We had all kind of ends, right? But the freedom rides, right quick, and I shouldn't do this right quick, but I know you've read it, right? Is the freedom rides is they really started by Corps, north, came down. They had written a letter to John Lewis, one of the guys who met him somewhere or whatever. So John then joins the group. When the buses are burned in Anniston, he's contacted us about it, and we are ready to go. So we all go into Montgomery to get ready to go into Mississippi.
Now, when you say we,
I'm meaning the largely students, but students and ministers. We were the first group of ministers and students to ever move in the United States on a nonviolent action.
Now, was there any hesitation on your part?
No. In fact, the only hesitation I had to tell my wife. I mean, it was at a meeting at night where we decided to go, and I had to go tell my wife. You know, I mean, that was the hesitation for me. But hey, those 10 students took off that night. Took off that night.
And what was your wife's reaction?
Oh, my reaction is, you know, you have to go, you're going, right? And,
even though you might get
that's exactly
beaten,
right.
you might get killed.
Because Mississippi is quite different. In fact, everybody had to give that a new thought when they talked about going to Mississippi, is that you could be murdered any time. You could be murdered before you even got there. In fact, they were picked up before they got to Montgomery. They were picked up, because that's where we were going, and brought back to the Tennessee border. And they found their way back into the state, ducking in people's houses and so forth. And then a telephone call to Nashville, and one of the cars came down and picked them up from the various places that they described and took them on into Montgomery, right? And
you talk about this. It's almost you're almost casual about it. You know, it's kind of like, well, yes, we were risking our lives, and yes, we could have been killed, and yes, you know, but, and I ended up, you know, I was beaten, and I was, you know, this, that. Surely it could not have been that kind of, well, yeah.
Yeah, well, you see, the point is, that's what training does. I mean, you know what you're getting into before. It's just like with Sheriff Clark and all the rest of it, all right? You knew what you're getting into. If you're not ready for that, you shouldn't be there.
Well, it's one thing to intellectually be ready.
No, I mean,
it's another thing to be standing in front of somebody with a gun who wants to shoot you.
But you didn't see any change in me in either case, right? Because that's it. I mean, you know what you're there for. You know what you're doing. You know the cost on both sides. You know the cost if you don't. If somebody doesn't, right? You know that all your life you've been waiting to get rid of racism, right? And you know until you can break it in the South, it's not going to be broken. Right? And so let's get it on. And you got your best chance. You got a great leader. You got a method that, as far as I'm concerned, I'd already tried. I knew it would work. I had a God that sent me there.
But you also had a wife and children.
Wait a minute. But they also knew. My wife also knew. Remember, we did this together. And that's so important to see, is that our wives knew, and we did it together. Remember, my wife left Dayton and came to Peoria, right? She understood that this was more than just something that happened, right? And that, and she understood that the same God that sent her from Dayton to Nashville is the same God that could take care of her whether I was there or not. And we were very clear on that. You see, my family ring, which I should have told you about before, right? That's where it is. Right in the middle of it is a cross, right? That's what it's all about. Is that's what undergirds all the rest of it. That's what undergirds it. Is that why you know, I don't hang heavy crosses around my neck and all that sort of thing. Is because, you know, I don't need that. The point being is that it's internal, not external. Right? Is that if you're going to talk about a cross, don't act like you're afraid of suffering.